Alright, this is my video for sprint number 7 of the Game Engine 2 project. Starting off with this current week, I was trying to get the sprite fonts in the game so that I could display certain things on the screen. Was it fully working? I have most of it set up, but I'm having a few iterator problems trying to get the rendering. So it's not entirely complete, but it's about 95%, so that's almost done. In terms of the terrain, still trying to get some catch up. I don't know what that noise is. Still trying to get some catch up here. I fixed the highlight cell from the first iteration so that it's actually based off the B-sphere's min and max positions. And then I have the intersect using all the collidables. I haven't gotten to the terrain iterator yet. But outside of that, I've been working on trying to get the game project updated. Specifically, I've been switching over to I have a currency manager now, which is just a singleton using the command pattern for sending currency updates, and then the same thing for the score. It's another score manager, it's the same thing. But I also have two new managers. I have a enemy manager, which is taking over all of the things that I was doing inside of the game manager, which is responsible for the spawning of enemies, and then when enemies die, they report back to the enemy manager, which then in turn, if you're looking at this function, oops, not definition. It takes care of all the stacks and returning with the factory, and then sending score and currency commands upon enemy deaths. The wave manager isn't completely set up, but this is what we'll be handling, spawning enemies over a period of time. It'll be a FSM just based off enemies present and the total time of the game. In the game manager, just going through and kind of removing most of the stuff that was in here that doesn't need to be inside the game manager. There's a lot of objects in here that are just don't have a home yet. Just spawning them in here for testing. So I've been setting up the turrets, which actually use a function in the enemy manager, which was the get closest to enemy. So you just pass in a position and it will return the enemy that is the closest to your position, which the turrets use in building. Kind of a fat update right now that I need to separate into an FSM, but basically if you don't have a target that you're tracking, you'll attempt to get one out of the enemy manager, and if you do, then you tell that target you're tracking them, and then we will determine the rotation to that target, and then you store your current rotation, and then we have the ROT-T, which is used for a linear interpretation between the two angles. If you don't get a target back, which means there's no enemies to lock on, it'll just linearly do a linear interpolation back to 0, so it'll go back to facing the front. Otherwise, we'll do the linear interpolation to the in rotation from your start rotation. And then this is just checking down here, saying if the difference between the current angle and the end angle is small enough, then you're aiming close enough, and then you can shoot. And then just to report death, anytime a tank dies, it will report to any turret that is tracking it that it died, so then the turret knows to seek a new target instead of tracking somebody that's already dead. Get most of the newer stuff. Go ahead and see these turrets. So it's a little Death Star turret. They turn slowly to face tanks. Once this tank dies, they'll all turn back to the front, like so. And then this is the little base command here. This was the garage model that refuses to take textures, so I need to get a new one. This is just the terrain intersect happening here. This is just the rough first version of the wall block shots. And then over here will just be the other command. And then there'll just be other enemy turrets on this side that you can shoot at. That will shoot at you, and then you'll just slowly spawn your own tanks that move forward like the enemies. I have a rough layout. Plan-wise, just cramming in the next week. I just want to get the terrain and sprite fonts finished. And then once that's done, the big thing is to break the enemy tank class, or the AI tank, into a base class that can be separated into the various versions, which just have variations in the move speed, rate of fire damage, and stuff like that. And then break the turret down into an FSM in a base class, so that way I can have enemies and friendlies that target different game objects. And then the FSM will just separate the turning, tracking, and idle states, so they're not all in one update. The easy part is a lot of these methods already exist in the objects. I just need to break them into states in the FSM. I need to replace the model on the garage. Want to make a new model for the locations where enemy tanks and friendly tanks will spawn before they move out. Might get rid of the wall if it doesn't do too much, and then once I have all that, I'm looking to just get the UI for the score and health and money up on the screen, as well as getting the game controller just to track the health of the command centers, which will just be the win and lose states, and set up the build spots once the turrets are working. And then there's like a simple FSM AI that just checks every now and then spawning enemies based off a period of time. And I'm still building a rough sketch of where everything will be on the map, where I want to place it, but that is where I'm at currently.